Week 15 of the fantasy football season, and here's the top 12 kickers I'm ranking this week. Number 1, Justin Tucker of the Baltimore Ravens. So another great season it's been for Justin Tucker, no doubt about it. Every week it seems like he gets at least 3 or 4 opportunities. We know he's got one of the biggest boots in the league, and he's one of the best kickers of all time, if not the best kicker of all time. Him and Young Oku, in terms of percentage, are right up there at the 1 and 2 on the list. So this week, a good matchup at Jacksonville, a team that gives up a lot of points, and teams have been in the red zone a decent amount of times this season. I got him at 1. Number 2, Brandon Aubrey of the Dallas Cowboys. So this rookie kicker is taking the league by storm, and last week a 59 and 60-yarder, first time ever someone's hit that in the same game. So Brandon Aubrey hasn't missed a field goal all season. This week, a matchup at Buffalo where the winds definitely could be howling, and a tough place to kick and a tough place to play. But this Cowboy offense is clicking on all cylinders, and even if they got to be held a few field goals instead of scoring touchdowns like they were last week, Brandon Aubrey could go out there and put up some fantasy points. So this week, I have him as, once again, a top option. Number 3, Evan McPherson of the Cincinnati Bengals. So Money Mac, he's been kicking the football well this season once again. And this Cincinnati Bengal team, I know their playoff hopes are slim, but McPherson won a game a few weeks ago for them on Monday night at Jacksonville. This week he hit a couple field goals as well. So this week versus the Minnesota Vikings, a bend but don't break type of defense for the most part over the last few weeks. I think Evan McPherson once again could have a good ball game, and he's another kicker where his range is 55, 60 yards as well. Number 4, Tyler Bass of the Buffalo Bills. So Tyler Bass, it's been a solid season for him once again for this Buffalo Bill team. So this week a matchup versus the Dallas Cowboys, where they're one of the better defenses in the league in terms of holding teams down for the most part into the mid-teens, low 20s. We've seen a majority of these games versus Cowboy defense this season. So Tyler Bass, he's going to get opportunities, but this also has a potential shootout written all over it. So Bass, he's an accurate kicker, better kicker, believe it or not. He's been at home than he's been on the road this season. And once again, I think Bass goes out there and puts in a good performance. Number 5, Jake Elliott of the Philadelphia Eagles. So Jake Elliott, he's been a solid kicker this season, and he's in an Eagle offense where they're getting a lot of opportunities and scoring the football at a good rate. I know the last 2 weeks the numbers have been down versus good defenses of the Niners and the Dallas Cowboys, but still Jake Elliott's numbers have been up to snuff, scoring anywhere from 9 to 12 fantasy points in that time. And this week here at Seattle, where I think Philly's going to get their offense back on track and put up a decent amount of scores in this one, I have him once again as a good option. Number 6, Harrison Butker of the Kansas City Chiefs. So Harrison Butker, he hasn't missed a field goal this season, and he's kicking the football well, no doubt about it. Opportunities weekly haven't been there where he's getting 2 or 3 opportunities per week is Harrison Butker. But this week in New England, I think chances will be there. This Chief offense has had a problem all season finding consistent receivers that could catch the football and go up and down the field. But Harrison Butker, like I said, he's been perfect on the year, and he's still in a high-powered offense, in my opinion, where this Chief team, I think, will figure things out, and especially this week, they could get right at the Patriots. Number 7, Jason Sanders of the Miami Dolphins. So Jason Sanders, it's been a solid season here for him, and he's in a high-powered offense, obviously, with this Miami Dolphin team. And this week, it's a good matchup versus the New York Jets that have a bend but don't break type of defense where they give up the 4th most fantasy points to kickers on the season. So Jason Sanders has a big boot. He's on a high-powered offense, like I mentioned, with this Miami Dolphin team. So I'm on a stretch for a little bit with double-digit fantasy points before last week he hit in the single digits. I think once again he goes out there and has a good game. Number 8, Young Hoku of the Atlanta Falcons. So Young Hoku, he's been a solid kicker, and like I mentioned early in the video, throughout his career at a 90% rate. I know last week he missed one was Young Hoku, but I think he gets back on track. This is a division matchup where it's going to be a grind to that type of game, and this Atlanta offense really doesn't finish a lot of red zone drives in the end zone where Young Hoku and this team has to settle. So this week, I think Young Hoku, after a mediocre performance last week, like I said, he missed a field goal, bounces back and has a good game at Carolina. Number 9, Dustin Hopkins of the Cleveland Browns. So Dustin Hopkins, we know he has a big boot. We know he's a veteran in this league. And this Brown offense the last couple weeks is starting to move the football up and down the field and getting Hopkins a little more opportunities. So last week coming off of 9 fantasy points. I think this week versus Chicago Bears, a defense, I know that's improved over the last few weeks and has created turnovers and made plays, that Dustin Hopkins goes out there and puts in a good performance. Like I said, he's got unlimited range as well as the veteran kicker. And this Brown offense, for the most part this season, has struggled to find the end zone consistently. Number 10, Will Lutz of the Denver Broncos. So Will Lutz, we know he's got a good boot. Obviously an indoor game, which is always a plus at the Detroit Lions this week. And they got good confidence in him. Obviously playing with Sean Payton many seasons with the New Orleans Saints, so they're not worried about trotting them out there 50, 55 yards in this one. So in a game that's pretty much a playoff type of game for the Broncos, where they're trying to keep their hopes alive at 7-6 on the season, I think Will Lutz could go out there once again and put in a good performance. And it's always a plus, like I mentioned, playing indoors. This week, number 11, Daniel Carlson of the Las Vegas Raiders. So the Los Angeles Chargers come to town on Thursday Night Football. I know last week this Raider team got shut out 3-0, losing in a sloppy ball game versus the Minnesota Vikings. But this Charger defense, when they have played well this season, bad offenses this season. But Daniel Carlson, indoor game, I don't see this Raider team getting shut out. I see them at least hitting a couple field goals and scoring a touchdown maybe in this one. And Daniel Carlson's got a good boot. We know he's a better kicker at home than he's been on the road throughout his career. And this week with an indoor game in a division matchup where I don't see the score being that low between these two teams, I think Carlson has a decent opportunity to be a good option this week. And the 12th and final kicker on rankings, Cairo Santos of the Chicago Bears. So Cairo Santos, the last month of the season, he's been amongst the league leaders in fantasy points, believe it or not, at the kicking position. So this week, it's a tough matchup, no doubt about it, at the Cleveland Browns. But this Brown team's a bend but don't break type of defense where a lot of teams have had to settle for field goals this season. So I think Cairo Santos, once again, where to start with, he's in an offense where they stall out a lot as well in the red zone, where it matches up pretty well, where with this defense doesn't give up a lot of touchdowns, and this offense don't score a lot of touchdowns, that Santos could get a decent amount of opportunities. That's the top 12 kickers I'm ranking for Week 15 of the fantasy football season.